Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Top Rank's Bob Arum goes in on HBO Sports. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Also, shout out to Radio Raheem, Seconds Out, YouTube. Link is in the description in case you want to check it out. He did an interview with Top Rank's Bob Arum. Bob Arum unleashed the Holy Trinity and hell on HBO, speaking his mind. I want to read some quotes and kind of paraphrase to give you an idea of what he said. Bob Arum says, the people at ESPN, which is hosting the Rigondeaux-Lomachenko fight, rely greatly on our views, the views of our matchmakers who have been in the business a long time. So it's easy to make matches that the public wants to see. At Showtime, to some extent, Al Heyman has the same type of relationship, I think, with Showtime sports head Stephen Espinoza, and he relies on him to present good fights that he could put on the network. As far as HBO, unfortunately, they are saddled with an inexperienced executive who has been in the business for a very short time and thinks that he knows more than anybody who has been in the business. Well, let's see how that works out. He also goes on to say, I think the guy who is now running sports at HBO has one mission, that's to hurt us. Why would he try to hurt us? Why would he, in the face of a historic fight at Madison Square Garden, which is obviously Guillermo Rigondeaux and Vasily Lomachenko, why would he put on a card in Las Vegas where nobody's going to be there this weekend to go against us? Why? What is the purpose? Why would he spend his subscribers' money to put on a fight show like that against ours, trying to counter program us? We're not his competition. You could watch ESPN for free. You can't watch HBO for free. People have to pay $15 a month. And if they think Game of Thrones, that's running out, which is going to go off the air soon, is worth $15 a month, let them pay it. But hey, keep away from us. He said, if you're going to be in boxing, then help boxing. Put on good shows. Stop crapping around because you think you know better than anybody else. He doesn't. He's an inexperienced exec who shouldn't be in his position. Wow. He also says, now I would never say that against or about Stephen Espinoza with Showtime, who I don't have a great relationship with. We've competed and so forth, but Stephen Espinoza is a real executive, right? For more, you can listen to it verbatim. I want to touch on a few other things Bob Arum said. He also said that he believes, he was asked about potentially working with Al Heyman fighters, and he says, yeah, we can all make it work. He says Stephen Espinoza with Showtime is buddies with Les Moonves of CBS, which is the parent company of Showtime, and he says we would do kind of like a trade-off, and stage fight A might be on Showtime, fight B might be on ESPN. So we would have to, you know what I mean, work it out. And he says, I think we can work it out. So fights like, let's say if Showtime got Top Rank fighter going over there, let's say Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford happened on Showtime, the way Bob Arum said it, is if Top Rank sent their fighter, Terrence Crawford, over to Showtime, then on the next one, let's say, I don't know, Pacquiao versus Broner or something, then Bob Arum would say they would trade off, and then they would get that fight. They would get the rights to that fight, which sounds very promising. I gotta admit, I don't always agree with Bob Arum. He's a promoter, you know what I mean? So sometimes he says stuff that's in his best interest, and I disagree with it. But with this interview, he actually sounded a lot more sincere. He sounded very level-headed and very realistic from my view. And like I said, I have not always agreed with what Bob Arum has thrown out there in the past. But he was also saying stuff like, he said, if Dana White from the UFC wants to get into boxing, great. The more the merrier. He says, as long as we're not trying to, you know what I mean, like undermine or underhand the next person, the more people the merrier. The more people in boxing putting on good fights is going to benefit us all. Which is what fans have been screaming all the time. They were doing the Cold War bullshit when it was different fighters, and Top Rank didn't work with Golden Boy, and Heyman didn't work with this person. You know what I'm saying? That whole time, that's what fans were saying. You know what I mean? But it sounds like the promoters and hopefully the networks are now seeing, like, there's money in this game. You know what I'm saying? If we work together, look at Mayweather, Pacquiao, all them executives, Mayweather himself, Pacquiao himself, they would have never made that type of money with only fighting within their stable. They made a HBO Showtime crossover fight, and look what it did. You know what I mean? Dana White in the UFC putting Conor in there with Floyd Mayweather. They wouldn't have made that money with Conor fighting Tony Ferguson. Is that a bad fight in the UFC? Absolutely not. But Conor McGregor can't fight Kevin Lee or something and make the type of money that he made fighting Mayweather. So I think more and more you're starting to see the promoters get it a little bit more and understand it. And part of my success as a channel, as a brand, and a boxing personality and voice is my ability to foreshadow. And I'm not psychic, I'm not a soothsayer or anything like that, but the thing is, I look at this game and I'm telling you, it's been bad for a minute for HBO Sports. I mean, you could easily see in 2016 when they were putting fights that were cool, but they weren't pay-per-view worthy on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Crawford, Postal, that's a good fight, but is that really a pay-per-view fight? You know what I mean? Then they had War Kovalev and Canelo Liam Smith. Like, really? Pay-per-view? Like, Canelo versus Kirkland was on regular TV, and Kirkland was more well-known, and that was, I would say, more of an action fight all around, and a shorter fight in Texas, and that was on regular HBO. But you're going to put Canelo versus Amir Khan, a welterweight, and Canelo versus Liam Smith on pay-per-view. So to me, it's looking real dry for HBO's boxing, and that's been the case. I mean, you look at 2017, they've been getting murdered by Showtime. And the reason I say Showtime is because Showtime it's like Home Depot and Lowe's. They're direct competitors. They're both premium networks. Now, Bob Arum taking his other fights, big fights, you know what I mean? Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn, which actually did good ratings, even though a lot of people didn't know Jeff Horn. Crawford and Dongo, and now Guillermo Rigondeaux, and then the Vasyl Lomachenko over to ESPN also has hurt HBO's programming. And Bob Arum keeps, this is not the first time he's went in on HBO since really doing leaving HBO to do the ESPN deal. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas, when HBO, I think Bob Arum really felt like, you got me fucked up. He felt slighted. Like, Pacquiao's made all this money on this network and you don't even want to pick up his fight? Okay. So he ended up doing a Top Rank pay-per-view, and the rest is history. Shortly after this ESPN deal came out, and he's been doing even the Fresno card with Jose Ramirez and Mike and D. Reed. That was, you know what I mean, that's a solid card, but ESPN, they're getting all that. Gilberto Ramirez versus what's his name, Jesse Hart. That's all ESPN. You know what I mean? So Bob Arum's putting some good fight. Definitely better than Golden Boy's ESPN fights. The only fight I can even think of that Golden Boy put on ESPN, a couple Ryan Garcia fights here and there, and also like Gabe Rosado versus Glenn Tapia. But you know what I mean, in terms of, like, put it this way, in the grand scheme of things, no shade to anybody, but Golden Boy putting on Glenn Tapia versus Rosado, or Pacquiao Horn, a name like Pacquiao fighting on ESPN. What about Vasyl Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux on ESPN? You tell me what's the better fight. You know what I mean? So to me, like I said, I do a little bit of predicting. HBO's in a bad spot, HBO, because they allowed Top Rank to get away. Heyman's Ben got away, right? And it's just all the warning signs are pointing to that. Like, you know what I mean? Bob Arum doing all these interviews where he's going in and sounding off on HBO. That, I mean, obviously that means that relationship is hurt. He literally said the exec they have in charge is basically a phony, and he's inexperienced, and he doesn't belong to be in that position. So until that changes, you know what I mean, like, i.e. he's fired or replaced or something, then I don't know if I see that Top Rank going back to HBO. You know what I mean? Same thing with Heyman. Heyman has deals with networks, so why is he going to go back to HBO? So HBO is looking like a sinking ship. That's my honest opinion, because realistically, they have Golden Boy and K2 Promotions to try to keep it afloat. And who does K2 Promotions have? They have Golovkin, who's 35, going to be 36. You know what I mean? If he loses to Canelo, his star power is going to shrink. If he loses in a rematch, Vladimir Klitschko retired. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez got knocked out. You know what I mean? And lost 2 times in a row. You look at Golden Boy, Canelo's their biggest star. David Lemieux's fighting Billy Joe Saunders, which might be a difficult fight. You know what I mean? So if he loses, then it's not like he's going to be a flagship of Golden Boy if Billy Joe Saunders beats his ass or something. So the writing's on the wall. Like the star power Top Rank, I would say, has a lot of budding stars like the Shakur Stevenson and also Mick Conlon and Vasyl Lomachenko, especially if he beats Rigondeaux, stuff like that. And Gilberto Ramirez, Oscar Valdez, just different people like that who could be in the sport for a while and do well for a while, and HBO doesn't get to enjoy any of that. And I said the same thing, is why would you put Orlando Salido versus Mickey Roman up against Rigondeaux Lomachenko? Like that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Because yeah, my dude Tevin Farmer's on the card, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna bounce back and try to watch it in between fights, or I might just DVR it and then watch the HBO section after. But you can't really compete with free ESPN, you know what I mean? Your fight is on, you have to have a premium network pass to HBO to watch Orlando Salido versus Mickey Roman. I mean, truth be told, I don't even know much about Mickey Roman, you know what I mean? And then the HBO decides to run up against ESPN's card, which was announced first to my knowledge. This is just, to me, like, if you really think about it, that's actually bad business, because you don't have a fight that really competes well with it. Do you know what I'm saying? Against it. Now, this is the only thing you can say about what Arum says, is he's saying, why would you waste subscribers' money, put a fight show like that against ours? You're trying to counter program us. The only thing I will say is him and Golden Boy and Al Heyman, they would do that too. Because I remember distinctly, me and my brother watched, it was Canelo versus Josecito Lopez. They had Maidana versus Jesus Soto Caras on the undercard in Vegas. And then also in Vegas was Sergio Maravilla Martinez versus Julio Cesar Chavez, which was a Top Ranked HBO card. And they were on the same exact night. Do your research. And there was a couple of times like that where Top Rank would put their card up against another card on Showtime or whatever, you know what I mean? And another time I remember, I think it was Ruslan Provodnikov versus John Molina was the Showtime card. Demetrius Andrade was on the card with Willie Nelson, and Top Rank put an HBO fight on, Vasyl Lomachenko versus Rocky Roman Martinez. So I guess you could say Bob Arum, that part is hypocritical, because he's done that before. You know what I mean? Where he didn't care who else had a card on the date. He did his own thing and had the counter program. But in the grand scheme of things, I still agree with Arum in the sense of it has to make sense. Like Canelo versus Josecito, even with Maidana on the card, like that was a good card. You know what I mean? That was a very solid card. So that going up against Julio Cesar Chavez Martinez, even though I wanted to see Chavez Martinez more, so that's what me and my brother watched first. The Showtime card was still good. But to put Orlando Salido, Roman whatever his name is, Mickey Roman, that's stupid to put that up against Vasyl Lomachenko, Rigondeaux, and Tevin Farmer. That doesn't make any sense, because it's not strong enough to compete with free TV and compete with the historic type of fight that is Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. That's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Is HBO a sinking ship? What could they do better? All I know is they've been getting slaughtered by Showtime, which is their direct rival, and then also ESPN. Let me know your thoughts. Does Golden Boy and K2 have what it takes to keep HBO afloat? It's getting harder and harder, because these other people are making a lot of competitive matches, like Showtime, you know what I mean, Broner and Mikey Garcia, just different fights like that. You know what I mean? Wilder might fight Luis Ortiz. This is what HBO is going to be competing with. I mean, when's the last time we even watched an HBO heavyweight fight? I just thought about that. That's my question for you guys. Name the last main event HBO heavyweight fight. Last fight you watched on HBO that was a heavyweight main event. And you know what I mean? I'm not throwing shots at Peter Nelson. I don't know the dude like that, but you do have to listen to what Arum is saying and question some of his decision making. You know what I mean? He's a young cat, and maybe he doesn't know enough about the business. And I told you guys, I specifically said this. HBO, with all the money and backing HBO Sports has, they would be better off getting with one of these like YouTube channels that are well respected, my channel or whoever's channel, Dante's Boxing, whoever, right? And giving us money and a budget to make this do what it do. You know what I'm saying? That's like to help promote. But they don't even do that. Like, you know what I mean? They don't think outside the box like that. And HBO, like I said, they made, to me, you have to, at least me, the reason why I kind of side with Bob Arum's rant is because you see it. You see certain decisions being made, and it's like, this doesn't even make sense. For example, how come Canelo, who speaks some English and speaks Spanish, and Golovkin, who speaks his native tongue, but he also speaks English, how come they didn't do an HBO face-off for that? Please explain that. Why would you do an HBO face-off for Canelo versus Amir Khan, which is the same thing? It's not like Canelo's English was great when he did the face-off with Amir Khan, so you probably had to go through a translator for him and Reynoso or whatever. So you do one for Canelo versus Amir Khan, but a more anticipated fight like Canelo Triple G, you do 0 face-offs. How is that good business? How does that make any sense whatsoever? It just doesn't. You know what I mean? And those are the decisions where, that's why I agree with Bob Arum, is because those are decisions we can see that really don't make sense. You have a fight like Canelo Triple G, you should promote the fuck out of that because fans really want to see it. All of 2016 we wanted to see that fight. Didn't get it, but then we got it the next year. You know what I mean? And you don't even do a face-off? You know what I mean? Just bad business. Let me know your thoughts. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.